your next-gen stats powered by AWS. So, Titans-Ravens this weekend. It's the rushing champ versus one of the greatest running quarterbacks we've ever seen. And they both do major damage when they go outside the tackles. According to Next Gen, they are two of the top 5 runners in terms of yards per carry, and touchdowns outside the tackles. They are effective in their own individual ways. So looks like these are two of the most unstoppable players in football. Derrick Henry coming off a game where he bulldozed the New England Patriots. You have a plan, though, M-Rob, for the Baltimore defense to stop this big hoss here?
Yeah, that graphic you just put up, right? You know, outside the numbers, right? Lamar Jackson, he gets his number. He gets his running by doing the read option. Derrick Henry, they do this outside zone running scheme. And I have some tape to show you guys how the Baltimore Ravens can possibly stop this outside run scheme. First of all, you look at right here, quick penetration. You put the tackle of the tight end in the backfield. It forces Derrick Henry to put his foot in the ground, possibly before he wants to, and then as a defense, you have to rally to the football. You look at right here, 3 technique, Calais Campbell. Boom, you get the quick penetration on the center, and you force Derrick Henry to either cut back or get tackled in the backfield. You cannot let this big 265-pound of a man, you can't get him going toward the line of scrimmage. All of his big runs, you see him in the backfield 10 yards deep, and it's almost like he doesn't even get touched as he enters the line of scrimmage.
If that train gets on the tracks,
you don't want to stand in front of him. You don't want to stand in front of him. Business decisions.
Get him in the first 4 or 5 strides.
There you go.
Because if he gets that head of steam, you're asking for 5-10 yards after yards on contact there. But I'll tell you this, he had over 200 all-purpose yards in the New England game. The offense for Tennessee in that game only scored 14 points. They're going against Baltimore's offense, who scores over 30 a game, the number 1 most potent
That's
offense.
all they needed to score.
You're right.
They won the game, right?
That's true, and the defense added a pick six there.
You know, if Tom Brady would have put up a bunch of points, I'm assuming that Tennessee would have responded. I mean, I don't know, right?
They needed to. They would have had to.
Yeah, okay. By the way, Lamar Jackson, not only one of the best football players in the game, he's one of the most likable players in the game. We're going to sit down with him one-on-one, Steve Smith Sr., with an exclusive interview Saturday morning, noon Eastern, NFL Game Day morning. Saturday at noon. Check it out. The Titans-Ravens game is the late game on Saturday. Kickoff is slated for 8:15 Eastern. The other AFC divisional round game is the Texans at the Chiefs. That game kicks Sunday, little after 3 o'clock Eastern. That is a rematch from a game that was played in Week 6. The Texans put up 31 points in the win in that one. But, DeAngelo, I want to know from you, how has the Chiefs' defense improved since then? Because it has.
Oh, yeah, they've improved. I mean, they aren't giving up a lot of yards. They're keeping guys out the end zone. They're getting turnovers, and the way they've been doing that is with this front. This front led by Chris Jones, new All-Pro Chris Jones, as well as Tyrann Mathieu on the back end. Let me show y'all a little bit. Look at Chris Jones's get off. I'm gonna pause it right here. Look at this. He is already touching the center, and nobody else is even close.
Ball's not even back to the quarterback.
And then he continues to show you why he's such a dynamic force in the pass rush
double
game.
team.
Bam. Hey, look, that was one guy on him. Tennessee, we saw what they were able to do to New England. They put 2 guys on Chris Jones. Doesn't matter. Still is able to get that pressure. Chris Jones, along with the rest of these guys up front, is the reason this back end isn't giving up a whole lot of points. Talked about Tyrann Mathieu. Watch this crafty football player. He's in man coverage, but why am I covering the post when he's going to the post safety? Rolls right off because film study told him that's what they love to run. He's not even covering his man and goes and makes a play. This is another play. Your best football player, you got to find a way to put him into action. Tyrann Mathieu now is playing nickel corner. Look at this communication right here. Telling his other safety, you stay deep, because they could have the banana in the tailpipe. He goes in there and makes a play. That's what this whole Kansas City defense has been doing. They've been feeding off of each other, just going out and making plays. This is not the same Kansas City defense that Deshaun Watson faced in Week 6. So we shall see.
Beverly Hills Cop reference.
Yeah,
That's a deep cut right there. In that Houston game, Houston-Kansas City, back in Week 6, they allowed 472 yards. They've only allowed over 400 once since. They have tightened things up, especially now during winning time. It's going to be cold in Kansas City as well this weekend. Convertible tops will be up, but not for Lindsay Rhodes.
Never for Lindsay Rhodes. It's time for Rhodes Less Traveled, and the fact that you just ran through the entire AFC divisional round there without mentioning any of these guys. And that is something we haven't been able to do since 2002. This conference dominated by Brady, Manning, and Roethlisberger since the turn of the century looks decidedly different this year and a whole lot younger. 3 quarterbacks under the age of 25 for the first time since the merger. And since we're talking about youth, worth mentioning the average age of quarterbacks left in the playoffs just saw its biggest drop-off ever from wild card week to the divisional round. The 8 guys who led their teams in passing last week, 33 years old on average. The 8 guys left are 28. Also interesting to me, the massive pay disparity between the AFC quarterbacks and the NFC quarterbacks. Let's start on the right of your screen, where you will see that Ryan Tannehill is the highest paid quarterback that is remaining on the AFC side, with an average annual payout of $7 million, which I would happily sign up for, but which is $20 million less per year than the lowest paid NFC quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. In fact, if you add up all of the salaries on the right side of your screen, you still come up $10.5 million shy of that number, and you're less than halfway to Russell Wilson's $35 million average. So you know Derrick Henry went nuts on Saturday, 182 rushing yards on 34 attempts. Did you also know that that is the most work that a running back has gotten in a game on the ground this entire season? And it's the most we've seen one get in a playoff game since 2005. 34 rushes. It is crazy. It's also nothing compared to the work that Henry has put in the past. This is his game log from his senior year of high school, according to Max Preps, and it is jaw-dropping. The total here is 4,261 yards in 13 games. How about this 510-yard outing up here? And how about these 57 carries from Week 11? Not sure why he took weeks 2 or 6 off here. I mean, 15, 16 carries. You thought 7 touchdowns was enough? Averages here, 35 carries for 328 yards and 4 touchdowns a game. 4 teams on the field today with games ahead on Saturday, but it's coaching news that kicks us off today on NFL Total Access. With Scott Hansen, I'm Lindsay Rhodes.
Lindsay, there is only one vacancy left in coaching carousel. It's the Cleveland Browns. That's because the Panthers and the Giants pulled their triggers today. Now, you can't expect the judge to rule unless you check the rap sheet first. NFL media insider Ian Rappaport with us right now. Before you grade my pun, my play on words, Ian, let's start in New York. Joe Judge to the Giants. This is a shocker to some.
It is a shocker, and for Judge, he actually had not one but 2 head coaching opportunities that he could have taken. One at his alma mater of Mississippi State, which I know he was considering, and then the other was the New York Giants. He actually put off Mississippi State about a day to wait to hear from the Giants, and while so many of us were focused on Matt Rule, considering him the favorite in New York, they were digging in on Joe Judge. And one of the reasons why the Giants, from what I understand, got a phone call from Bill Belichick basically selling them that Judge is someone who was, in fact, qualified to be a head coach. He had not one job, but 2 jobs on Bill Belichick's staff. He's a special teams coordinator, one of the most respected positions on Belichick's staff. Then he was the receivers coach. And Scott, Belichick has met with Judge on a regular basis over the last couple of years, helping school him, helping tutor him about being a head coach. This is one Belichick spotted early, believes is ready, and the Giants believe so too.
Can't blame Big Blue for trying to tap into the Patriot way there a little bit. We'll have more on Judge coming up later on NFL Total Access. And in Carolina, Matt Rule goes from college to the pros. There are tens of millions of reasons as to why, Ian.
Many, many millions. Matt Rule signed a 7-year, $62 million deal, and he gets many millions more in possible incentive based on team goals. But listen to how this happened. So, of course, we knew that Matt Rule was supposed to interview with the New York Giants today, just like Josh McDaniels was supposed to interview with the Carolina Panthers today. None of that mattered because owner David Tepper, general manager Marty Herney, and the rest of the Carolina Panthers coaching search team, they flew down to Waco to meet with Matt Rule yesterday. They met with his wife. They stayed there. They liked it. And instead of waiting for McDaniels, just seeing maybe if Rule is still around, they decided, you know what? This is the guy we want to be our coach for the next 30 years. This is the guy that we're going to entrust millions to. This is the guy who believes in sports science and building a program, a foundation similar to what Tepper does. They decided, you know what? They're just going to hire him.
Yeah, team owner David Tepper knows how to close a deal. He proved that in the business world, making his money to buy the Carolina Panthers. All right, stand by, Ian. The carousel's moving quickly. We're going to talk about the last open job, the one in Cleveland, here in just a minute. Lindsay?
In the meantime, we've got more to say about the two hires from today. I know a lot of you are wondering who Joe Judge is. Well, as you see here, he's a longtime Patriots staffer who came to the team after a 3-year stint at Alabama and has had a lot of success as a special teams coordinator. He's listed as the wide receiver coach this year.